Hello, and welcome to Humanities 1900 online sections at the Royal Oak and Southfield campuses. This is Lecture 1. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ms. Kendall or Ms. K, and I'm the film faculty member at the Royal Oak and Southfield campuses. This course is 100% online. It does not meet on campus or in a classroom. Assigned films are available for checkout at the Royal Oak and Southfield campus libraries. Links to assigned films on Amazon are listed in the news items on D2L. Students are solely responsible for obtaining and watching assigned films. What to expect? Since this may be the first film class for many of you, I'd like to explain what we'll do in class. It may be a different approach to film than you're used to. Viewing film critically. We'll approach film critically and objectively. This means setting aside our likes and dislikes or initial reactions to film. It may be difficult at first, but the process will be very rewarding. How to read a film. Because we'll be looking closely at film instead of passively, we'll be reading film. As we learn the language and grammar of film, we'll focus on the formal elements of filmmaking. We'll develop the tools for critical thinking and writing about film. Aesthetic awareness is the general education outcome for the class. As we become aesthetically aware, we'll use film language in formal writings and discussions. We'll understand how film speaks to the viewer through its formal elements, photography, mise-en-scène, editing, sound, etc. Every picture tells a story. Photography in film is designed to create an emotional response. Being aesthetically aware is a roadmap to understanding our responses better. Analyzing an image. We're given information about the subjects, the setting. Let's look at the picture to the right. Look at the clothes the young ladies are wearing. Consider their body language, the setting, and then how much of the picture is sharp and in focus. Developing aesthetic awareness allows us to measure our reaction to the image. We can confidently say the subjects know each other. The setting is rural. The time period is not present day, and the young ladies are the focal point. Because film is a universal language, we tend to react to images in similar ways. When we're aesthetically aware, we understand we're responding to the elements of composition. If we're reading this image, we can tell this is a period piece. We look at the shallow depth of field that draws our eyes to the young ladies in the middle ground, in the center of the frame. We understand that the subjects know each other and that the dominant color being used here is blue. Moving on, expectations about what a film is or should be come from our experiences with film and are largely subjective. Since no one is born knowing what a film is, let's consider, how would we explain film to someone who's never seen one before? Imagine you tell someone you're taking an online film class and they say, "What is film?" I know this is a stretch. Let's have some fun and use our imaginations. Here are a few ways to describe film. The celluloid that captures the images. Film is a noun, a capture device. Even if it's digital, we need something to store images on so they can be viewed repeatedly. The act of shooting film. Film is not only a noun, a thing, it's a verb, an act. We have to go out and capture images. A work of art. Film is an artistic medium. Perhaps we forget because we think of film as an escape or base a film's importance on how much money it makes. As we begin to view film objectively and learn film grammar, images will take on a deeper meaning. In industry, film is one of America's largest exports. We export film and media worldwide. A historic and cultural document. Film has the ability to preserve time. We'll watch some of the first films ever made in class. It's the closest thing we have to traveling back in time. It's okay to laugh at how styles of dress and language change, but stop and think about what we're really responding to. Film can be a time capsule. It allows the viewer to look back with amazing clarity and insight. What's captured in film is a representation of culture and society. What do you think films will look like 100 years from now? Entertainment. For many of us, our relationship with film revolves around being entertained. In this class, we'll replace the word entertainment with engagement. Film in this class will be used to inform and teach us something. A method of storytelling. Most students immediately say film is a way to tell stories with pictures. While conventionally this may be true, film doesn't have to tell a concrete story. Did you know motion pictures were discovered through photographic experiments with movement of humans and animals? Objectively speaking, film is often used to tell stories, but its roots are in photography and documentation, not storytelling. Film is also a text to be analyzed, as film critics will move further away from judging films based on our opinions and towards analyzing films through a framework with a set of criteria. Films are often called texts inside the world of film criticism. This image of Marilyn Monroe from the 7 Year Itch is iconic. It can be analyzed for its historical, cultural, and aesthetical content. Great job so far. Let's continue our lesson in objectivity. I want to push you outside of your comfort zone and challenge your expectations about what a film should be. Avant-garde. Avant-garde art and film has a long history of commenting on and challenging conventions in traditional artistic movement. Innovative, modern, abstract, experimental are all words associated with this style. Avant-garde in French means advance-garde or vanguard. Avant-garde can refer to works of art that are ahead of their time or even trailblazing. Some characteristics of avant-garde films: they run counter to mass media and mainstream culture. Avant-garde films encourage multiple interpretations. Avant-garde films push the boundaries of film language. If you've never heard of avant-garde before, that's okay. Let's look at examples of avant-garde works in different artistic mediums. Shoes, fashion. These aren't just shoes, they're avant-garde shoes. These Alexander McQueen lobster claw shoes make quite a statement. While they may not be walking into my classroom anytime soon, a modified version might. Avant-garde pieces are very influential in the fashion world. Let's look at avant-garde in fashion, music, and performance. Singer David Bowie was known for his avant-garde fashion on stage. This Tokyo pop bodysuit was designed by Kanesai Yamamoto for Bowie's Aladdin Sane tour. I was lucky enough to see this in person at the Bowie Is exhibit at the Art Gallery of Ontario in Toronto. Another term for avant-garde is experimental. These works are outside of the box and often have a strong influence on mainstream culture. Cubism is an avant-garde movement in Europe in the 1910s and 20s. Cubism inspired works in sculpture, music, literature, and architecture. Cubism is one of the most influential art movements of the 20th century. Cubism challenges and disrupts realistic representations, and it was very controversial and sparked debate in the art world. Now that we've exposed ourselves to avant-garde art, let's move on to avant-garde film. Avant-garde film is often abstract and non-narrative. It's really important to set aside our expectations and have an open mind. Night Music by Stan Brakhage, made in 1986, is the avant-garde film that accompanies this lecture. This film can be accessed in the Week 1 Assignments tab in the Week 1 module on D2L. Despite its title, the film has no sound. Some interesting factoids about Stan Brakhage. Night Music wasn't shot with a camera. Brakhage painted and scratched the images into the film. He taught at the University of Boulder in Colorado. The character Stan in South Park is named for Brakhage. The band Dogstar is named for one of his films, and he's one of the most influential avant-garde filmmakers. La Jetée, 1962, directed by Chris Marker, is one of the most influential avant-garde films ever made. La Jetée is made almost entirely of still photography. It's the inspiration for the film 12 Monkeys and the TV series 12 Monkeys and La Jetée. These haunting still images from La Jetée should hopefully pique your curiosity. Students are not required to watch the film, but it is available on Vimeo. After approaching film critically and learning about avant-garde, would we answer the question, what is film differently? I hope so. Films featured in this lecture. Students are encouraged to explore these films: Bright Star, Red Balloon, The Bicycle Thieves, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version, The 7-Year Itch, Night Music, and finally La Jetée. Until next time, have a great week.